again, and welcome to Along the Rock, our podcast that pays homage to the people of the Sauk Valley, the valley and the river that runs through it. My guest today is Vicki Petta, who's also has a pen name.
Yes.
By the way, I'm Mark Morris. That's my real name, and I don't have a pen name. But Vicki is an author, and she writes children's books and also books for adults, and is a self-publisher. Vicki, thanks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You coming up,
yes,
and showing us your works. I understand you've written, well, just by here, I know you've written at least 3 books, and I know on the bottom book you'll show later, there are more parts to that as well. So
7 altogether.
Yeah, tell us how you got started in this whole thing.
I have no idea. I just had this internal desire to write. I still do. I haven't written in a year, but I love it. I have a writer's brain, and I see different things, and I think, wow, what a good story that would be, stuff like that.
Well, that's, I guess when you go to start actually working, then that makes it easier because your mind is bursting with ideas.
It is, and a lot of it is from real life events or things I've witnessed, but mostly it just comes out of my brain.
Yeah, there are different ways of working. Some writers just sit down and they just go crazy.
Yeah.
Isaac Asimov, the science fiction writer, has published hundreds of books, I think. And others who say it's a painful process.
I enjoy
they sit down and they have so much trouble starting.
No, I enjoy I can spend hours,
Okay.
and just let it flow.
Yeah.
And then you can always go back.
Sure. Well, let's start with a couple of children's books.
All right.
There's one called The Magnificent Miracle for the Unicorn. And tell us about that one.
This one it came to me while I was sitting in church. It's a Christian children's book. And I often wondered about unicorns because a couple years ago, unicorns were really big with little girls especially. So as I was writing this, it dawned on me that I didn't even know what a narwhal was till I looked it up. So that's what happened to the unicorns.
World's strangest looking whale, yeah.
God gave them, and it has that, that long, it's called a tooth, I guess, but it just went into that where they get a magnificent miracle from God, and they lived through the what am I trying to say? The whale.
The narwhal.
Narwhal. See, I don't even know what they are yet. But it's a very easily read book to little children. There's a lot of pictures. In fact, it is a picture book, and Noah is in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other one that you've got with you there, Lewis.
Lewis, the curious
little lamb.
Yes, my minister walked up to me about probably 3 years ago and said, "I don't know what you want to do with this title, but it just came to me, Lewis, the Curious Little Lamb," and I said, and of course I just took it to Bethlehem. So this is another picture book for little children, and this is, I think, a little bit for older children.
Okay.
Probably. And little Lewis has a lot of questions. Kids do.
Okay. And who does he get to answer the questions?
His mama.
Okay.
His mama, and mostly his mama. His mama guides him, and he finds a friend, and they get a scare from wolves because there's wolves out in Israel, and the shepherds save them. So there's a lot of excitement, but at the very end, he just wants to play with Jesus. And you got to move on. Shepherds say, no, we got to move on.
Sure.
So, yeah, it was fun writing this one.
That's interesting. I did mention that you had a pen name, which is Vicki Schroeder.
Yes.
Why that?
That is my maiden name.
Okay.
And my dad had 5 children, and he was a very wonderful father. And we grew up with very little. on the farm, and he was killed in 1980, and I always thought if I ever became a writer, I was going to use his name, so that's how that came about.
Join us Friday, April 11th at 6:30 p.m. at the Next Picture Show in Dixon for Chapter and Verse Open Mic Night. Presented by the Radar Free Press and Sauk Creative Writers Group. Enjoy live readings from local authors sharing their works. Authors, pre-register by texting or calling 815-994-8006. Want to sponsor and support events like this? Text 815-200-6404 for more info. See you there.
With my husband's permission.
Sure.
Yeah.
Died in a farm accident?
No, he was in a small plane. It was really kind of stupid. There was two men from Forston and one from Byron, and they were going to go to Manistee, Michigan, to look at heavy equipment. He was a heavy equipment. And the plane went down in ice in Lake Michigan. And we did not find, he was the last one to be found in August. So it was March 19th till August 16th that we waited for that body to come up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a tragedy.
That's a tragedy for a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vicki and her husband are from, they live in Forest.
Yes.
And the adult books you've self-published are all, the ones I've seen anyway, are all entitled the same thing with different parts.
Volumes.
Volumes, I'm
Four
sorry.
volumes, yes. This is the one I'm most proud of. And here again, I could not pull myself. I would work into the midnight hours on all of them. I just loved it. There's quite a few characters, very dysfunctional family.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all estranged. And it starts right off with the mother committing suicide. I might as well tell you right now.
Sure.
And it's sad, but it had to be in order for all these kids to come back home and quit judging each other, but that's what families do. And the father, who pretty much sat in the background reading his paper and didn't
involve himself
didn't involve
in the
himself with
business.
his wife or his children. And he really, in the end, he really steps up. But they go through everything. I mean, there's 5 adult children, and there's a lot of subjects that they had to deal with. One is the homosexual part of one of them. Mm-hmm. And this is written in the 90s, so back then, that was the worst thing a mother could have as a homosexual child. Well, she writes a journal for all of them to read because she knows she's going to die.
Okay.
And she tells them what's wrong with their lives. I mean, it's pretty hilarious because they get angry.
And that never goes over.
No,
big.
that didn't go over well. But she did it, and from there, it just, I mean, there's even, I think in volume 3 or 4, there's a grizzly bear also.
Okay.
So it's just a lot of stuff that they had to deal with. And in the end, they do come out pretty good. They pretty much heal and accept one another. That was the whole thing, for them to accept each other for their differences.
Yeah, and that'll come to fruition at the end of volume 4.
4, yeah. Since there are 5, there's one. Usually, each volume deals with one of the main characters mostly. So that person is, you get that one healed up, and the next one comes along. But in the very end, it's. I had no idea how I was going to end it, but I knew I was going to end it because volume 4 was enough. But it came to me about probably 2:30 in the morning, which is normal for me. I get a lot of ideas. And the ending came, and I knew that was the ending. I knew it had to be that. But it's that's when I started writing children's books.
Okay, after you got done
After
with
that.
the adult volumes.
Yep. And there's a lady in Galena Territories. She was a professor at Vanderbilt. She lives out here now. Mm-hmm. And she is not an author, but she likes to produce books. So she asked me to write one chapter there was 21 authors out of 9 states to write something about when most of the people had all different kinds of volunteerism, and I volunteer at a cat shelter,
Sure.
so I wrote about that, and that helped. I told him volunteering at a cat shelter helped me with. I had a son who, it'll be 11 years. They found him dead. He had a blood clot to his heart. So I would go to this shelter and, just enjoy the cats and then
Sure.
give back to them. Yeah.
Escape a little from reality.
Oh, yeah, that was rough. It still is kind of, but.
Well, I'm sure watching this, people will be interested in how they can acquire these one or more of these volumes.
Yeah.
In addition to the 4-volume set. So how do you distribute? Now there are a lot of you local authors who just pile all the books they've published in their car
I do that.
and
crazy.
drive around, and wherever they feel they can get a foothold, they'll bring some in and say, you mind if I put these here? How do you do things?
I also do Facebook because if I don't answer my phone anymore.
Okay.
Because of this
For
is
anything?
terrible. Oh, scammers. But I go to these venues and they say, if I like it, can I call you? I go, well, Facebook me or email me. Email me is good. That's the best.
Sure.
And really, when you want to send books through the mail, it's quite cheap. It's very easy. Media is cheap.
Okay. So that doesn't cut
Yeah.
into your
Well, I make them
bottom
pay.
line, so
I
to
make
speak.
them pay.
I see.
This
In
will
what
be.
way?
This is your postage.
Okay.
And I don't even have to say that. They all include it in
volunteer?
there. Yeah. And I
Okay.
have people in Virginia and Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois. I think that's all the states I've been in.
That's a big area.
Well, it's not. It's just 1 or 2 people, but
Sure.
I'm proud of it that I got to do that.
Regional coverage.
Yeah.
So how much would you charge? for a
Well, the
typical-
soft cover of these are 15.
Okay.
And these are small, but they're all picture books, so they're 16.
And somebody had to do those pictures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was expensive. But it's worth it. It's worth it. I think when children read these, it might just give them a little hope if they ever come across a big problem. They'll remember this book, maybe not, but I know when I read books to my children, they wanted to read them over and over and over. So, yeah.
Sure. Sounds like at least one of those would be appropriate for one of my wife's and my 4 great-grandchildren
Yes.
who also live in Dixon like we
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. Well, I brought them.
All right, we've been talking with Vicki. Petta is her given name.
My married name, yes.
Your married name.
Yeah.
Given in marriage. The pen name is V. Schroeder, spelled like Schroeder, but pronounced Schrader.
German.
If you're looking online to
Yep.
to track those books down, and I thank you for coming up. I appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I hope you can join us next time as well. We'll have some more authors and lots of other topics as well. Hope you can join us for the next Along the Rock.